The twin suns of Terran's Edge were setting when Dr. Sarah Chun found the crash site. She had been tracking the unusual energy signature for 3 hours, her boots crunching through volcanic ash and broken rock. The mining colony where she worked was small and quiet, exactly what she wanted after years in crowded research stations. But today, something had fallen from the sky. The crater was still smoking when she reached it. Her scanner went wild with readings she had never seen before. And then she saw it, the creature that would change everything. It was massive, easily 20 feet long, with scales that shimmered like molten copper in the fading light. Wings, torn and bleeding, were folded awkwardly against its body. The shape was unmistakable. A Drakthar, a dragon. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Drakthar. They were warriors, predators, feared and respected across 100 worlds. They never asked for help. They never showed weakness. And they certainly never came to human colonies. This one was dying. She took a step forward, her medical training overriding her fear. The dragon's head snapped toward her with frightening speed. Its eyes were gold, brilliant and wild, filled with something that made Sarah's heart ache. It wasn't anger she saw there. It was terror. "Easy," she said softly, raising her empty hands. "I'm not going to hurt you." The dragon tried to rise, but its legs buckled. A sound came from its throat, not a roar, but something closer to a whimper. It tried to breathe fire, and only smoke came out. Then it collapsed, chest heaving, watching her with those desperate golden eyes. Sarah moved slowly, the way she had learned working with frightened animals back on Earth. She could see the wounds now. Burns covered its side, the edges too clean and precise. A wing membrane was torn almost completely through, and there were marks, strange, circular burns that formed patterns on its scales. These weren't crash wounds. Someone had done this deliberately. "What happened to you?" she whispered. The dragon flinched at her voice, trying to drag itself backward. Its claws left deep furrows in the ground. Every movement clearly caused it pain, but it was more afraid of her than it was of dying. Sarah's communicator buzzed. "Chung, what's your status?" It was Marcus, the colony's chief engineer. "I found something," she said, not taking her eyes off the dragon. "I need medical supplies. Lots of them." "What kind of something?" "The kind that's hurt and scared. Just trust me, Marcus." There was a long pause. "The kind of something that might eat you?" "Maybe, but it won't. Not today." She hoped that was true. When Marcus and the others arrived an hour later, they stopped dead at the edge of the crater. Dr. Yuki, the colony's physician, grabbed Sarah's arm. "Are you insane? That's a Drakthar. Do you know what they can do?" "I know what's been done to it," Sarah replied quietly. She pointed to the wounds, the burns, the signs of torture. "Someone captured it. Someone hurt it. And now it's here, and it's dying, and I'm not going to just leave it. It could kill us all," Yuki argued. Sarah looked back at the dragon. It had managed to crawl a few more feet away, even though the effort left it gasping. Its eyes never left them, tracking their every movement. But it hadn't attacked. It hadn't even tried. It just wanted to get away. "Look at it," Sarah said. "Really look. It's not trying to kill us. It's just trying to survive." Marcus studied the dragon for a long moment. "What do you need?" "Everything we have. And time. Lots of time." The others left supplies and returned to the colony, promising to come back in the morning. Sarah set up a small camp 50 feet from where the dragon lay. She didn't try to approach again. She just sat there, working on her research notes, occasionally talking in a soft, steady voice. "I'm going to stay here," she told the dragon as darkness fell. "I'm not going to come closer unless you let me. But I'm not leaving you alone either. You're hurt and you're scared, and I understand that. I really do." The dragon watched her through the night, its breathing labored and painful. Sarah kept talking about nothing important, just filling the silence with gentle sounds. And sometime before dawn, she made a promise. "You're safe now," she whispered into the darkness. "I don't know if you can understand me, but you're safe. I won't let anyone hurt you again." In the shadows, those golden eyes blinked once, slow and deliberate. And Sarah wondered if somewhere in that magnificent, terrified creature, something had hurt her. The first 3 days were the hardest. Sarah sat at her camp, maintaining her distance, while the dragon lay in the crater watching her with those unblinking golden eyes. She talked constantly, her voice soft and steady, telling stories about Earth and the animals she had worked with before coming to space. The dragon never responded. It barely moved except to shift away whenever she adjusted her position. On the 4th day, Sarah left food at the midpoint between them, synthesized protein that her scanner said might work for the dragon's biology. She returned to her camp and pretended to read. The dragon stared at the food for hours, then at her, then back at the food. It didn't touch it. Marcus visited every evening, bringing fresh supplies. "This is crazy," he said on day 6. "It's not eating. It's just going to die out here, and you're wasting your time." "It ate yesterday," Sarah replied, "after I went back to Colony for the night. The food was gone this morning. Maybe something else took it." Sarah pointed to the tracks in the ash. Large, clawed, unmistakably dragon-shaped. "It's eating. It just won't do it while anyone's watching. That's not much progress. It's survival. That's enough for now." By the end of the first week, the dragon had moved closer to the supplies Sarah left. Not much, maybe 10 feet, but it was something. Its breathing sounded better, less ragged. The worst of the infected wounds had started to close, though Sarah ached to properly treat them. On day 9, she noticed a small device attached to the dragon's neck, half hidden by scales. A translator chip, damaged but still blinking with faint lights. The dragon could understand her. Every word she had spoken, it had heard and comprehended. "You know what I'm saying," Sarah said that evening, looking directly at the dragon. "You've known the whole time. So I want you to know this. I'm not like whoever hurt you. I see those burns. I see those marks. Someone captured you. Someone tortured you. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that happened to you." The dragon's eyes narrowed, but it didn't look away. Sarah continued, her voice thick with emotion. "On Earth, we had animals that people hurt. Dogs that had been beaten. Horses that had been starved. And you know what? They were afraid of every human they met after that. They thought we would all hurt them. And I understood why. When someone breaks your trust like that, it's hard to believe anyone can be different." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "But some of them learned. Slowly. Very slowly. They learned that not all humans are the same. That some of us want to help. Some of us want to heal." She smiled sadly. "I think you're smarter than any dog or horse. So I think you already know that. You're just not sure if you can take the risk." The dragon made a sound, low and rumbling, not threatening, almost like it was considering her words. The breakthrough came on day 12, during a sandstorm. Sarah had been so focused on the dragon that she hadn't noticed the weather warnings. The storm hit fast and vicious, howling winds driving volcanic ash like tiny knives. She ran for the only shelter nearby, a rocky overhang near where the dragon rested. She huddled against a stone, covering her face, coughing as ash filled her lungs. The storm screamed around her, and she realized with growing dread that her camp was being torn apart. Her supplies, her shelter, everything was gone. Then something moved beside her, something large and warm. The dragon had positioned itself at the mouth of the overhang, its body blocking the worst of the wind and ash. One massive wing, the less damaged one, stretched partially over her like a shield. It wasn't touching her, but it was protecting her. Sarah stared in amazement. The dragon stared back, then deliberately looked away, as if embarrassed by its own kindness. "Thank you," Sarah whispered. The storm lasted for hours. They waited it out in silence, human and dragon sharing shelter. When it finally passed, Sarah's camp was destroyed. She would need to hike back to the colony. She stood, brushing ash from her clothes, and saw the medical kit. It had been in her camp, but now it sat just outside the overhang, pushed there by a careful claw. The dragon watched her steadily. Sarah picked up the kit, then cut her hand on the sharp edge of a broken container. Blood welled up, and she hissed in pain. The dragon moved then, faster than she expected. It pushed the medical kit closer to her with its snout, then backed away quickly, as if afraid of its own boldness. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "You're worried about me." The dragon settled back down, but its posture was different now. Less defensive, less afraid. Sarah treated her hand, then looked at the magnificent creature before her. "You're safe now," she said softly. "I promise you're safe. And maybe I'm safe too." Those golden eyes blinked slowly, and for the first time, the dragon didn't look away. 2 days after the sandstorm, the dragon let Sarah touch it for the first time. She had been sitting nearby, talking about her childhood, when the dragon made a soft sound, almost like a question. Then very slowly, it extended its injured wing toward her. Sarah's hands trembled as she approached. "I'm going to look at the tear," she said quietly. "It's going to hurt. I'm sorry, but it needs to be cleaned." The dragon's entire body went rigid when her fingers touched the damaged membrane. A low growl rumbled in its throat, and smoke leaked from its nostrils. But it didn't pull away. It stayed perfectly still, claws digging furrows in the ground, while Sarah examined the wound. "It's infected," she said. "I need to clean it properly. This is going to be bad." The dragon's translator crackled to life for the first time. The voice was deep and rough, clearly unused to speaking. "Do what must be done." Sarah looked into those golden eyes. "You can talk." "Always could. Chose not to." The dragon's head lowered slightly. "Slavers made me speak. Made me beg. Swore I would never speak again." "You don't have to explain," Sarah said gently. "My name is Krazoff. You should know the name of the one you waste your time on." "I'm not wasting anything, Krazoff. I'm exactly where I want to be." The cleaning process took 3 hours. Krazoff shook with pain, but never pulled away. He spoke occasionally, short sentences between waves of agony. He told her about the Zithian slavers who had captured him during a solo hunt, about the neural probes they used to cause pain without leaving marks, about the restraints that shocked him whenever he resisted. "They wanted to break me," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Make me a pet. An exotic prize for some collector." "How did you escape?" "Crashed their transport. Would rather die free than live in chains." He paused. "Was ready to die. Then you came." Sarah worked carefully, stitching the wing membrane with specialized thread that Marcus had brought from the colony's engineering supplies. "In my culture," she said, "accepting help isn't weakness. It's wisdom." Krazoff made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Drakthar believed differently. We are born alone. We hunt alone. We die alone. To need another is to admit you are not strong enough. That sounds lonely. It is our way." But his voice carried something that sounded like doubt. By the 3rd week, Krazoff allowed the other colonists to approach. Dr. Yuki treated the burns with specialized gel that helped alien tissue regenerate. Marcus designed a brace for the damaged wing, spending hours adjusting it while Krazoff described how it felt. "You build well, small human," Krazoff said, flexing the wing carefully. The brace held firm, supporting the healing membrane. Marcus grinned. "Coming from a dragon, I'll take that as a compliment." "It is." The changes came gradually. Krazoff began moving around more, testing his strength. He taught Sarah words in his language, the deep rumbling sound a human struggled to pronounce. He described his homeworld, where Drakthar nested in volcanic calderas and flew through clouds of ash. "We sing to the stars," he said one evening. "Each dragon has their own song, a pattern of flame and sound that tells who we are." "What's your song?" Sarah asked. Krazoff looked away. "I have forgotten it. The slavers. They made me sing it so many times, in so many ways, trying to break me. Now, when I try to remember, I only hear their laughter." Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then she began to hum, a simple melody her mother had taught her. "This was my song, growing up. My mom said everyone needs a song, something that's just theirs. Maybe you don't need to remember the old one. Maybe you can create a new one. A new song." Krazoff seemed to consider this. "For a new life." "Exactly." On day 24, Krazoff stood fully for the first time. His legs were still weak, but they held. He stretched his wings carefully, testing the heel membrane and the brace. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Sarah stood beside him, her head barely reaching his shoulder. How does it feel? Strange. Different. He looked down at her. You gave me back my life, Sarah-chun. Among my people, this creates a debt that cannot be repaid. I don't want repayment. I just wanted you to be okay. Why? The question was genuine, confused. I am not your kin, not your species. We were enemies in the old wars. Why did you care? Sarah smiled. Because you were hurt and alone and scared. That's all the reason I needed. Krazov was quiet for a long time. Then, softly, he said, Perhaps your way is not weakness after all. Perhaps it is a different kind of strength. Perhaps, Sarah agreed. And in the fading light, the dragon and the human stood together, no longer afraid. The Zithian ship appeared in orbit on day 32. Sarah was helping Krazov practice walking when the colony's alarms blared. Marcus's voice crackled over every communicator. Unknown vessel demanding docking permission. They're claiming salvage rights on escape property. Krazov's entire body went rigid. His scales, which had begun to regain their luster, seemed to dim. They found me. Who? Sarah asked, though she already knew. The slavers. They have come to take me back. Within an hour, 3 Zithian traders stood in the colony's main hall. They were tall and thin, with gray skin and too many joints in their limbs. Their leader, who called himself Vextar, spoke in smooth, pleasant tones that made Sarah's skin crawl. We are here to retrieve our property, Vextar said, displaying a holographic document. One Drakthar specimen, legally acquired through salvage rights after attacked our transport. We have the proper documentation. The colony administrator, an older man named Harris, studied the documents with troubled expression. These appear legitimate. They're lies, Sarah said flatly. She stood in front of the Zithians, her fists clenched. That dragon didn't attack anyone. You captured him. You tortured him. I've seen the wounds. Vextar's smile never wavered. Dragons are dangerous creatures, Dr. Chun. Sometimes restraint is necessary for everyone's safety. But these are legal matters, not emotional ones. The creature belongs to us. He's not a creature. He's a person. His name is Krazov, and he's under the colony's protection. The colony has no authority to harbor stolen property. Vextar replied. His voice remained pleasant, but his eyes were cold. Return our specimen, or we will take it by force. Your mining colony has no military. This does not need to be difficult. Harris looked uncomfortable. Dr. Chun, perhaps we should... No. Sarah's voice was sharp. This is what separates us from them. Administrator. We protect those who can't protect themselves. That's what humans do. That's what we've always done. One dragon isn't worth the entire colony, Harris said quietly. Yes, it is. Sarah looked around the room at the gathered colonists. If we give him up, what are we? Just another species that preys on the weak? I didn't come out here to become that. Marcus stepped forward. She's right. I've been working with Krazov for 2 weeks now. He's intelligent, kind, and brave. He's also terrified of these things. He pointed at the Zithians. I've seen soldiers with that kind of fear. It comes from real trauma, not from necessary restraint. Dr. Yuki joined them. I've treated torture victims before. That dragon was systematically abused. If we send him back, we're complicit in that abuse. Vextar's pleasant expression finally cracked. You have 6 hours to comply. After that, we will come for what belongs to us. The Zithians left, their footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. Sarah found Krazov at the edge of the colony, staring at the sky where the slaver ship orbited. You should go, he said without looking at her. Take your people and go. I will surrender. Better one suffers than many. That's not happening. Sarah, you cannot fight them. They have weapons, ships. You have mining equipment and good intentions. We have something better. Sarah sat beside him. We have a reason to fight. They just want property. We're protecting family. Krazov's head turned sharply. Family? What else would you call it? You're one of us now. That's what these weeks have been about. Not just healing your body, but making you part of something. And we don't abandon family. For the first time since the ship arrived, Krezatha's scales brightened slightly. Among my people, I would be shamed for needing others, for accepting this protection. Then maybe your people are wrong about some things. Sarah stood, determination in her eyes. We're going to fight Krezatha. Not because we're strong, but because it's right. And if you're strong enough, we could use your help. The next 6 hours were chaos. Marcus rigged mining explosives into defensive positions. Dr. Yuki set up a medical station. Every colonist who could hold a tool or weapon prepared to defend their home. Krezatha watched them work. Something like wonder in his golden eyes. These small, soft humans were preparing for war. For him, a dragon they had known for only a month. When the Zithian shuttle launched toward the surface, the colony was ready. Sarah stood at the barricade, looking up at the ship. Beside her, Krezatha lowered his head, smoke curling from his nostrils. His voice was quiet but firm. I have a new song now, he said. One that includes you, all of you, and I will not let them silence it. Sarah smiled grimly. Then let's make sure they hear it loud and clear. The battle for Terran's Edge had begun. The Zithian shuttle landed in a cloud of dust and arrogance. Vextar emerged with 12 armed soldiers, their weapons gleaming in the double sunlight. They expected frightened miners to hand over their prize without resistance. They found something very different. The first soldier who crossed Marcus's perimeter triggered a mining charge that sent a column of rock and flame into the air. The explosion wasn't meant to kill, just to announce that this would not be easy. Last warning. Sarah's voice echoed across the settlement through speakers Marcus had rigged. Leave now or we make you leave. Vextar's laughter was cold and electronic through his helmet. Foolish humans. You cannot win this. Maybe not, Sarah replied. But we're going to try anyway. That's what we do. The battle began in earnest. The Zithians had better weapons. But the colonists knew every inch of their territory. Marcus detonated charges that collapsed paths and blocked routes. Dr. Yuki's team used industrial lasers meant for cutting rock to cut through Zithian armor instead. Miners who had never held weapons fought with tools and determination. And above it all, Krezatha waited. His wing was still healing, the brace still necessary, but fury burned in his chest. Not the mindless rage the slavers had tried to beat out of him, but something focused and pure. These people, these humans who had shown him kindness, were fighting for him. The least he could do was fight alongside them. When 3 Zithians broke through the defensive line and headed for the medical station where the youngest colonist sheltered, Krezatha moved. He dropped from his perch with a roar that shook the ground. Fire, weak but growing stronger, erupted from his jaws. The Zithians scattered, their weapons firing wildly. One shot grazed Krezatha's side, but he didn't slow. His claws caught one slaver and sent him flying. His tail swept another off his feet. The specimen! Vextar's voice screamed over the comms. Subdue it! Use the pain collars. But Krezatha wasn't the terrified, broken creature they had captured before. He was fighting for something now. That made all the difference. Sarah appeared beside him, firing a mining laser that forced the 3rd Zithian back. You okay? She shouted over the chaos. Better than okay, Krezatha rumbled. I am free, and I am angry. The tide began to turn. The Zithians had expected an easy retrieval. Instead, they faced coordinated resistance from beings they had dismissed as weak. Every advance cost them. Every position they took was immediately contested. Then Marcus made his move. He had been studying the Zithian ship in orbit through the colony's sensors. It was heavily armed but had one weakness. Its shield generators were external, probably for easy maintenance. One good shot in the right place would drop them. Krezatha! Marcus yelled. Can you fly at all? Not well. Not far. I don't need far. I need up. Marcus pointed to where he had positioned the colony's largest mining laser, jury-rigged and overcharged. I need you to be bait. Draw their ship's fire. When it powers up weapons, the shields will flux. That's when I shoot. It was insane. It was dangerous. It might not work. Krayzoth's eyes gleamed. Let us try. With great effort and greater pain, Krayzoth launched himself skyward. His damaged wings screamed in protest, the brace creaking with strain. He couldn't maintain altitude for long, but he didn't need to. The Zithian ship's weapons tracked him immediately, energy built in their cannons. Now, Marcus! Sarah screamed. The mining laser fired, overcharged and burning bright. It struck the shield generator at the exact moment of flux. The explosion was spectacular. The Zithian ship listed in orbit, alarms blaring, shields down and weapons offline. Krayzoth fell, unable to maintain flight. Sarah watched in horror as he plummeted, but he didn't crash. At the last moment, his wings caught air and he glided, rough and uncontrolled but alive, back to the ground. On the surface, Vextar saw his ship crippled. He saw his soldiers retreating. He saw a dragon and humans standing together, unbowed. "This isn't over," he hissed. "Yes, it is," Sarah replied. "You lost the moment you underestimated us. Now, get off our planet." The Zithians retreated to their damaged ship. Within an hour, they were gone. The colony erupted in cheers. People hugged, cried, celebrated survival. Sarah found Krayzoth at the edge of the chaos, breathing hard, his wing trembling from effort. "You flew," she said softly. "Barely, but yes." He looked at her with something like awe. "You fought for me. All of you. I have never known such a thing. That's what family does." 3 days later, a ship arrived bearing the crests of the Drakthar clans. 2 elder dragons landed, their scales marked with age and wisdom. They had heard what happened and come to investigate. They found Krayzoth standing with Sarah and the colonists, his head held high. "You accepted help from lesser beings," one elder said, disapproval in his voice. "I accepted help from beings who showed me what true strength is," Krayzoth corrected. He looked at Sarah and smiled, showing all his teeth. "They are not lesser. They are different, and their way has value." The elders were silent for a long moment. Then the younger one dipped his head, slightly. "Perhaps we have been wrong about some things. Perhaps it is time we learned new songs." Weeks passed. Krayzoth's wing healed fully. The day came when he could fly properly again. Sarah watched him test his wings, soaring higher and higher, finally free in every way that mattered. He descended and lowered his head to her level. "Come, let me show you what you gave back to me." Sarah climbed onto his back, her heart pounding with excitement and joy. They launched into the sky together, human and dragon, rising above the colony toward the stars. Below them, the colonists cheered. Above them, the universe waited. "Thank you," Krayzoth said as they flew, "for seeing me when I was broken, for staying when I was afraid, for teaching me that needing others isn't weakness." Sarah held on tight, tears of joy streaming down her face. "Thank you for trusting me, for letting me help, for becoming family." They flew higher, into the clouds and beyond. 2 souls would save each other in all the ways that mattered. And in the vast darkness of space, a new song began, one of healing, hope, and the unbreakable bond between a human who refused to give up and a dragon who learned that accepting love was the bravest thing he'd ever done.